Good morning, Paj.
Good morning, Mr. Tyagarajan. How are you?
I'm very well, Director. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that it's very early in the morning for you, but I really wanted to have this opportunity to talk with you. I'm standing because if I sit, I can't see you directly the way the TVs are laid out. But I'm so thrilled that you could take this time to be with us. And I want to first start by saying a little bit about my understanding of the National Science Foundation. And then I would ask you to just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up in your seat. So I spent about 20 years of my life in the United States, of which a substantive part was in some universities where I got two or three different academic degrees. And when I was a grad student, the height of getting um, recognized, the height of your scientific or academic achievement was to get a grant from the NSF. And particularly if you were of a certain age, there was a limit. Within that, you could get like a young researcher or a young scientist grant. And if you got one of those, at least back in the day, the rest of your career was basically made. So the National Science Foundation, I think, was set up by a president, maybe President Kennedy, but you'll clarify, and is intended to promote science research and the basic sciences throughout the country. As such, it is a premier federal agency that is in the promotion of science and technology, and it's a very prestigious institution. And so we are particularly proud first to say that a son of the soil, our own director, is doing such a stellar job in this role, and we congratulate you for it. And I think it would help, I think, inspire a lot of people to understand your journey and how you went from here, your academic career, and how you ended up in your seat. So, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Tyaga. I mean, let's not say it very lightly, Tyaga. You had an illustrious career in the United States. Had done your PhD in one of our premier research institutions in the SUNY system, and then subsequently at MIT, and then worked in the Wall Street. So an illustrious career yourself, and occupying a role like this, truly a testament to your own excellence. Furthering of excellence. And I just want to say that not to just, you rub my back, I rub my back, but I want to be factual. And Tamil Nadu, my home birthplace, is fortunate to have you as the IT minister. And I'm sure great things are going to come out of the Tyaga. I already see that with your energy, with your enthusiasm, with your vision, and your commitment to serving the people, and particularly the conversation that we have had, Tyaga, which is going to be based on what we're going to talk about today, is inclusive innovation, inclusivity of every form, opportunity for everyone. You and I share that common thread of the desire to make sure that innovation is not for a few, chosen few, but for everyone, and that everybody should be able to participate and have that opportunity to realize their personal and professional dreams. And you and I are both passionate about that. So that's what makes me excited to be able to have this conversation with you, Tyaga. Your background as well as your own vision. So you asked about NSF, and I'll say it very briefly in the interest of saving time for the thing that we want to discuss. NSF, post-World War, 1945, there's a great scientist, Vannevar Bush, wrote a beautiful treatment called Science, the Endless Frontier, to then President Roosevelt. And he said, Mr. President, we have done this amazing technological innovations and discoveries and translations and outcomes that has helped us in terms of the military and the defense purpose. Why not continue this vibrant research environment in peacetime to deliver prosperity for our citizens, economic prosperity, national security, and social well-being and equity that we're going to talk about today, right? I mean, he laid out this beautiful vision statement, and I'm not going to go into that in great detail. I encourage people to read that. But Tiago, what is interesting is 75 years later, I would not change a word of that mission statement. And that shows the vision of that amazing scientist, right? And then 5 years later, that led to President Truman signing into law the act of Congress that established the National Science Foundation. Tiaga, just a few thumbnails. In the last 75 years, NSF has made tremendous progress. As you said, that it is considered as the gold standard, if I could use that word, in so many sort of ways. But let me give you a few scorecards, if I may. NSF has been responsible for 262 Nobel laureates so far. Wow. Where NSF has invested early in their career. I mean, just the last Nobel cycle, right? The physics Nobel laureate, the chemistry Nobel laureate, the economics Nobel laureate, and the biology medicine Nobel laureate, they all had investments of NSF. In fact, the economics Nobel laureate, Claudia from Harvard, wrote to me, said, Panch, I'm thankful to NSF for having given me that early start. That's what NSF does. Invests in these people and ideas early in their career and then sustains them that they achieve this unbelievable aspiration of a Nobel Prize as one facet. I'm not saying that's the only thing. That's just one exemplar. There is no agency on planet Earth which has got that kind of an outcome-oriented activity, right? On the other hand, and that's why I describe NSF as like a DNA, this I made up. One DNA strand is this unbelievable curiosity-driven, discovery-based explorations, right? Anything that you can think about, black hole discovery or fundamental discovery in quantum or AI, NSF would have the imprint on that. The other thread of the DNA is what I call use-inspired, solutions-focused translations. And here, Tiaga, there is not as much understanding of NSF's contributions, and I want to say a few things there, and then we'll dive into the discussion at hand. Google, two graduate students funded by NSF, wrote a proposal to NSF in 1994, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And in 1999, they wrote the final report in which they said that this was Digital Libraries Grant. They said 1 year earlier, prior, they had founded a company called Google, and that's a $1 trillion history. And again, another Tamilian leading that is a pride for all of us. Yes, Sundar is a great guy. Now, likewise, if you look at Qualcomm, in 1980, when Vitruvi came to NSF and said, I've got this great CDMA algorithm, and I want to start a company, NSF invested through the Small Business Innovation Research Program, which we still have. And in fact, it was founded at NSF, now used by other agencies too, to spur companies. And today, Qualcomm is hundreds of billions of dollars of company. Tiaga, there are thousands and tens of thousands of companies who have those tire tracks back to NSF's early investments, high risk, high reward investments that has gotten us here. So that's what makes NSF unique. This is the STEM talent agency for the nation. It is an annual budget of $10 billion and spurs amazing progress. So right now, as I was talking to you when you and I met on both occasions, is I am deeply committed, Tiaga, and maybe that is because you said son of the soil, because I grew up in Tamil Nadu, because of my own background. You asked me, I went to the Madras Christian College High School, a fantastic high school, okay, fantastic high school. And for those people who went to Don Bosco, too bad, we compete. So we always are in competition, right? And then went to Vivekananda College, went to the Indian Institute of Science for my undergraduate degree in engineering, Vivekananda College in physics, my first degree, my second degree in engineering, and then went to IIT Madras before I went on to do my PhD in Ottawa, Canada. So I will tell you, I have seen firsthand the need for STEM inspiration at a young age and what it can do, and opportunities for everyone and what it can do firsthand. And so when I came here, I felt like I need to do the same for every region of the United States. Tiaga, you know this very well. New York, where you lived, and Boston, where you lived, and California, these are all well known for prosperity. But that's not everywhere across the United States. Not all 50 states and territories have the same progress. Not all rural areas have the same opportunities as in urban areas. So the problems, Tiaga, are no different between Tamil Nadu and the United States. Okay? For that matter, any country in the world. I talk to a lot of leaders, right? So what we need to do is, what are we going to do about it? And that's what I find the common thread with you and me, is that let's talk about what we can do to change that. How can we bring more prosperity? Okay? Not just for a chosen few, but for everyone. Okay? And so with that, I cede back to you, and then I would like to continue our conversation. So when I came, it is about innovation anywhere, opportunities everywhere. That's my slogan for NSF, and we've been working hard at that.
No, thank you very much for that. For those who may not really heard about him before. This great scientist that the director is talking about was Vannevar Bush, who was a visionary man in so many ways. And one of his seminal papers that I read was a paper titled As We May Think. It was the precursor to the notion of computers and now artificial intelligence. So it's amazing to think how some profound thinkers can actually seed so much future policy, funding, outcomes, Nobel Prizes, companies, trillions of dollars of market cap, and that political leaders were astute enough in a day and age to be able to accept, absorb, and act on such wonderful, brilliant advice. But also, I think it's illustrative. Though I said Madurai, when compared Madurai to Chennai, we take great pride in the director because, as he said, Madras Christian College, High School, Vivekananda College, and IIT, and then, of course, brilliant career in many places in the US and now in the NSF. But what attracted me the first time I met him, I think there was a phrase he used, which is the earlier part of his initiative, and now he's doing the innovation initiative. The first thing he said when you're talking about a variety of things, and I spent a lot of years in academia. I was a PhD student, so for me the NSF is like a hallowed place. And so I was really thinking I'm talking to this very exclusive, very kind of elite institution, intellectual. And the director said to me, one of the things that I'm pushing hard for in the education system is that elite doesn't have to be exclusive. Just because you're an intellectually elite place or with a track record of producing elite, sophisticated thinkers, you should not be exclusive that only people with benefit, or legacy or money or a good family or access should be able to get in. The more you are inclusive and everybody gets access, then elite really adds value to society. And that really resonated a lot with me, with our values as a government, with the party, with the movement. And from then, we've been having these conversations. So if you just start there, Director, just talking about first the notion that elite and exclusive are two completely different things, and how you encourage everybody to be able to have access to elite education. And then maybe from there you can go on to this new initiative of ensuring distributed innovation and distributed centers of excellence across all parts of the country as opposed to concentrations in places like the Bay Area or New York.
Before we get any further, Tiaga, call me Punch. We all hold titles and all of that. We all know that, but, you and I are really good friends. So, Tiaga, you bring up an excellent point about, what is important for people to understand is there are institutions in the United States and we're proud of them. And you belong to one of those institutions in MIT, right? The badge of honor of those institutions, and we have those institutions in India too. And I went to those institutions in India too. The badge of honor of those institutions is, if 1,000 people or 10,000 people applied, I accepted only one. I am better than the institution who accepted 2 of the 10,000. Okay? That's called exclusivity. That is, I define my success by how many people I exclude, okay, getting into the institution. And I understand that I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying that's one model, right, of getting really good people to come and then make them even better through the institution. Great. But we cannot have only such institutions who measure themselves by who they exclude, but by institutions who they include and make them successful. We need institutions of that type so that these institutions welcome people, even though they may not have achieved all the things in the first 12 years of their high school. You are not doomed for life because that's not the model that we want. Talent and ideas are democratized. Tiaga, we know that. You have seen it in Madurai, I have seen it in Chennai, and we have seen it everywhere. Talent ideas are democratized. It's everywhere. Take a young kid. Why should a young kid, of a particular family or a background or environment be any less qualified than anybody else? It's just they may not have the exposure or the family background that goads them and builds them up, like all of us had the fortune of having, right? That should not necessarily mean that they cannot have the opportunities to be able to succeed. And therefore, as a system, we need to see how we are able to bring out the talent I say that how do we inspire, motivate, nurture, and bring to life such talent all across our nations, right? And so we are deeply committed to that. We are doing a lot of things in this regard. And I won't spend time talking about this today, but maybe some other time we can have that conversation. But that forms like a foundation, Tiaga, that value that you want everybody to feel that they have a chance to participate and excel. Okay, that's the value, foundational value. Now you layer on top of that, okay, how do you build innovation excellence everywhere across the state or the country? How do you do that? Because you need to make sure that innovation is not restricted to Chennai or Madurai or California or Kendall Square in Boston or Austin, Texas, but it can be anywhere. But what do I mean by that? Tiaga, you are familiar with this because you were a graduate student like me in those years when Bell Labs used to be this unbelievable model that we all looked up to as graduate students, right? The Bell Labs is where you had amazing inventions like the Shockley transistor. At the same time, amazing products like the fiber optics that came out of that, right? And at the same time, the most important ingredient that Bell Labs made possible is this unbelievable people. The people who got trained in Bell Labs who didn't have badges like I'm academic, I'm a practitioner, I'm from industry, I'm from academia. None of that. They're all fusing and working together, right? And then those people today, if you go back and look at industry leaders, many of them, you will find, at least in the last several decades, you will find that they will say, oh, I worked in Bell Labs. So Bell Labs created this amazing group of people who then went about and did amazing things in addition to their service in the Bell Labs, right? Okay. So, but there's another thing to note here that Bell Labs took a topic, a theme, okay, in this case, information technology as a theme, and then expressed it in many forms and made possible this talent and ideas and products and services. Now, imagine that you can do the same thing everywhere across the nation around themes that are akin to the place. In other words, place-based innovation, right? How can you, because every place has got something fundamentally exciting about the place. Let's talk about Tamil Nadu, for example, right? You've got a great industry, manufacturing industry of automobiles. Now, if you're looking at the next generation of how you want to move into the future, one, among many other things, one theme could be, how do I make sure that I build this base that I have of automobile companies and now moving into the EV world? How can I build that for that future EV world? How can I build amazing green tech, amazing renewable-based green tech? How do I build an ecosystems of regulations, standards around EVs? How do you build the green tech, battery technologies, you name it, all kinds of things that you can build around that because you have already got the ingredient at a macro scale of these automobile industries. And you say, where else can it happen? Because I've got these people right here. And I'm going to now expand my thinking to be much more inclusive and at the same time, much more responsible to the green innovation that all of us are feeling, that we need to be a player in. So I think that's just a thought. So talking about this place-based innovation, we launched a new directorate at NSF. When I came, I said, I need this directorate launched right away. The first new directorate in 31 years at NSF. And that directorate is called the Technology Innovation Partnerships Directorate. A disruptive way of looking at the future. That is, this is not a typical directorate like mathematical, physical sciences, or geosciences, or biosciences, or computing information sciences, or engineering, and so on. It is a cross-cutting directorate. That is all the great innovation that's happening in AI, quantum, next-gen wireless, biotech, whatever it is. You pull them rapidly in partnership with industry and economic development ecosystems, and then build innovation excellence and centers of innovation that then becomes the basis for startup companies, industries expanding, new industries moving. It becomes a very rich ecosystem of prosperity, jobs, and therefore educational ventures like community colleges, technical training institutes, polytechnics. Let's not only focus on universities because skilled technical workforce is required. I talk to all the CEOs. They say, Punch, yes, we have great PhDs and undergraduate students and graduate students. But remember, even in the semiconductor industry that we are talking about right now a lot with the Chips and Science Act, I meet with a lot of CEOs. They tell me, Punch, we need people who can do the skilled technical work for the fabs of the future, right? So that's a different kind of educational institution. So how do you bring an ecosystem of all these institutions, new entrepreneurial ventures birthing, industries expanding already, and the new industries moving into the place because that ecosystem welcomes that kind of a focus area and working together like that? And so we launched this concept as part of the technology innovation partnerships. I invite all of you to check this out. Many programs which went live right away, and I'm about speed. There's no time to talk. We need to get these things done. I tell people like yesterday. So the regional innovation engines, and I encourage people to go and check that, called RIEs. These are innovation concepts that people bottom-up innovation, Tiaga. In addition to top-down, like what we talked about that could make the state successful, there's also bottom-up innovation. Let me give you a concrete example. The RIE type ones were just $1 million scale, where we motivated people to come up with concept papers. What is the thing that you think in your region that you think can be a vibrant, new, innovative concept, right? We got 670 concept papers from every territory, every state, every region of the United States. We then made them public so that people could see what others are doing and collaborate more. And we got a couple hundred proposals. We chose 44 of them, which spanned 45, 46 states. Now we are investing in a few more. I'll come to that in a minute. So all of these are amazing early innovation ecosystems, which have something that makes the place in a shine. Let me give you a concrete example on that. In Nevada, Reno is one of those 44. It is about lithium mining. I never knew, Tiaga, that the largest lithium mine is in Nevada. And the people got together and said, the University of Reno, Nevada said, we want to develop they have a center which works on the full life cycle of lithium mining lithium, processing lithium, and then doing a full green life cycling of lithium, right? Reuse of lithium. And so they have a research center. Then they built a minor in battery technologies in the institution to train people. The community college built an entire curriculum on how to train people for lithium mining and processing, right? And then Tesla Gigafactory is there. They are partners. So the governor's economic development folks participated. So this, for just $1 million, we were able to get everybody coming together and building the future of lithium mining, extraction, processing, and delivery, right? As one example. We also at the same time built the regional innovation engines type 2, more mature ecosystems, right? I was just with the First Lady, Dr. Biden, and I were there in North Carolina. And there we launched 2 of them, right? Out of the 10, 2 of them were in North Carolina. One of them, and I state this example because one of them was focused on textiles. And I say this because Tirupur, for example, for us is a counterpart you would think, right? So you've got tremendous assets around that, existing industries around that, but they're all trying to out-innovate and see how they can be in the vanguard of textile innovation for the future, right? So the entire ecosystem, Yaga, about 40 partners coming together and saying, let's develop the talent pool that is necessary with universities and community colleges working together. Let's make sure that all the industries already there are partaking. Let's make sure that new entrepreneurial ventures with venture capitalists can birth right there to build a complete supply chain relation-based ecosystem of textile, the future of textile, right? Manufacturing, design, and engineering, and spanning the states of North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and South Carolina, right? So all of them participating in that, right? And the other one in North Carolina was on regenerative medicine, like developing artificial kidneys and so on. A very mature set of ideas. Yeah. And so they came together, Tiaga, and Wake Forest University. So these 10, we are investing, each of them, we are going to be investing $160 million over 10 years, so $1.6 billion, right? The first 2 years of investments of $150 million over 2 years, we already launched on that. And the CHIPS and Science Act, thanks to President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration. And here, total bipartisan support of Congress. That's you talked about vision. And in these kinds of things, the leadership of the nation and the commitment of President Biden and the administration, as well as the full bipartisan support of Congress on both sides of the aisle, feeling that this is a moment for us to supercharge innovation in the United States and take it to the next level. Make possible this vision that we are all talking about. How do we make possibilities? The president talks about possibilities, which is about opportunities. And how do we make that happen? So I'm very excited. And if it's not coming through in my voice because of my cold, I apologize.
No, it's coming through loud and clear. And actually, I was struck by 2 aspects of what you said. And if you don't mind, I'll expand on that a little bit. One is that in this day of artificial intelligence, when everybody is worried about the fact that jobs are going to disappear and everything is going to be done by machine, here you're talking about ecosystems that have to include community colleges, the equivalent of our ITIs, our polytechnics, not just our colleges and our research institutions and our think tanks, but actually people who can then work the factories, who can work the mines, who can run the equipment, who can run the lathes and so forth. So it's interesting that we should think about the world as a uh, kind of vertical rather than that this slice alone will do. No matter how much technology comes in, for you to be commercially viable, you should really have the entire spectrum of skills, of functional outputs, and of functional people to basically achieve that success. The second thing that struck me is that if you look around most of the world, we strive and we struggle because we think if you get industry and academia better connected together, you will get efficiency in economic growth and outcomes. But here you're talking about an ecosystem that is much more comprehensive than that. It's not just industry and academia, it's research through government funding and therefore some de-risking. It's the leadership that comes from that, plus bringing in private enterprise at multiple levels, not just established industries, but also venture capitalists and risk-taking capital. And so you have this, comprehensive ecosystem of participants. And what ties them all together is because it is about a local product or a local resource or a local skill or a local advantage, whether it is in, medical devices and replacement kidneys, or whether it is in textiles, or whether it is in lithium in this case. And I think that is such a powerful lesson for us because, of course, philosophically, we want growth in every area, and we understand that different areas have different strengths. And again, it has been in our core identity that we want local self-governance, individualization rather than homogeneity. But I think this is a very comprehensive approach for us to emulate, and it's wonderful to see. And I hope that we will get to do some of these things in our own place. But
the identity of Tamil Nadu, I always talk about identity, right? So because people should know why, right? So the moment you have the identity of the place at a macro level and at the micro levels all coming together, then you have a very vibrant economic development ecosystem that promises jobs, prosperity, health and well-being, guarantees social equity, and so I think that and a pathway for everybody. And I think once we do that, I feel that we are really delivering the goods for our citizens. Because even NSF, you talked about the ivory tower, Tiaga. I'll keep reminding people. Let's not forget NSF's $10 billion of investment annually is that hard taxpayers who are investing. So yes, we want to show that we are working on the industries of the future of the industries of the future, things that don't even have labels. AI of today is 5 to 6 decades of investments by NSF. Quantum of today is 3 to 4 decades of investments by NSF, right? Yes, but today there are things that NSF is investing in which don't even have labels, which will only appear in a decade or two. So we need to do all of that, but yet show value that people can see tangibly that my investments are really not only promoting unbelievable prosperity, but for the future and ideas for the future, but also delivering for today and will deliver for tomorrow. So I think I'm so pleased because our Consulate General Chris Hodges, I'm not sure whether he's there. He's also hugely passionate. Chris is hugely passionate about how to make sure that when we are partnering, that we are bringing together this collective mindset and promoting this identity of what can Tamil Nadu be really good at, and how can we advance that vision. And both Chris as well as Ambassador Garcetti, Eric, are committed to this partnership, the US-India partnership. I just coincidentally 2 days ago gave an interview to PTI. I think it appeared in Financial Express yesterday. Talked about the partnership, how we are rapidly advancing because we have shared values. When we have shared values, two great democracies, shared aspirations, we can do a lot of things together.
though I had not particularly made any effort to ensure his presence, much as you would expect the kind of person he is, Chris is here. Thank you very much, Chris, and thanks for being part of this with us. I completely endorse your views. We're very thrilled that Chris is our Consul General here in Chennai. We look forward to working closely with him and with you. Let me conclude because I think we've run out of time, but let me conclude by first thanking you for taking the time so early in your day at Washington, D.C. Let me congratulate you again as one of us, as a son of the soil, on the many wonderful things you have done and that you continue to do. And not just the outcomes, but the manner of the equity and the fairness in the way you do things. You're a beacon of hope and a star for all of us. And I thank you for taking the time. And we hope that we learn from you. We can benefit from your advice. We'll get to do things together. Thank you very much again, Punch.
Thank you, Tyaga.
All
Thanks
the
for the
best.
opportunity. Romba santosham. Thank you very much.